So what we find that we can fake and pretending the power, then we'll act in that way. The best success movies, or in box of top 10 movies, why they success? Why these movies were success? Because the actors, the heroes, and into that movie, they can convince the audience through playing or capture the character very well. So it's all about pretending. And we can say in this context that we can do the things dynamical in order to feel it physiological. And remember at the part one, or I don't remember actually, maybe it's in at the part two, remember when we say just you can be forced in order to smile. So it became you forced to be smile, but you are looks like smile. So when I look at you with this shape, means that you are smiling, and I will understand that like you are smiling. Pretending the power will change your feelings to be a power person. And the high power, alphabet people, and Ipram's hierarchies have high testosterone and low cortisol. The effective leaders, they have high testosterone and low cortisol. This is true. It's now maybe it's related to they are practicing how to pretend, and they feel and live in that feelings. Dr. Amy and her team, they decided to bring people into the lab and run a little experiment, and these people were adopted for 2 minutes, either high power poses or low power poses. And I'm gonna show you 5 of poses, although they took on only 2. Here's one of them, a couple more, and this woman has been called the Wonder Woman, the Superwoman by the media, as Dr. Amy said. A couple of more. So you can be standing or you can be sitting. And here is the low power poses. So you are finding out, you are making yourself small. This one is very low power. Just when you are touching your neck, you really looks like that you're going to protect yourself from something. So this is what happens. They come in, they spit in into a veil. Dr. Amy said, you need to do this or this. She asked them. They don't look at the pictures or they knows about the poses. Just we don't want to prime them the concept of power, and they want just them to be feeling power by examining. So for 2 minutes they do this in different shapes, different poses, and then they ask them, how powerful do you feel on a series of items? And then they gave them an opportunity to gamble. And then they take another sample and another sample till they covered the whole experiment. So after that, what they discovered, what they find? They find that when you are in the high power poses condition, 80% of you will gambling. So it will take the risk. But in the case of low power pose condition, only 60% that will take the risk. And that's whopping significant difference. And here the pie graph will show you what we find on testosterone. From their baseline, when they just come in, high power poses people experience about 20% increase, and low power people experience about 10% decrease. So again, 2 minutes and you get these change and these difference. Here's what you get in cortisol. High power people experience about 25% decrease from cortisol, of course, and the low power people experience about a 15% increase. So it's high testosterone and low cortisol. So 2 minutes lead to these hormonal changes that configure your brain to basically be either assertive, confident, and comfortable, or really stress reactive and feeling sort of shutting down or closing on yourself. And we've all had this kind of feeling, right? So it seems that our non-verbals do govern how we think and feel about ourselves. And so it's not just about others, but it's also ourselves. So this is true and answering our question that our bodies can change our minds. So can power posing for a few minutes really change your life in meaningful ways? Now this is what Dr. Amy did in the lab. It was a little task. It was just a couple of minutes. But really, where can you actually apply this? And this is which we cared about, of course. So we think where you want to use this evaluative situation, like a social threat situation, where you are being evaluated from others, either by your friends or for some people, like speaking at the school board meeting or at the end of year party. It may be doing that during job interview. So they decided the one situation that the most people could relate to its interview, because most people had been through was the job interview. What you do before you going into a job interview, you do this. You're sitting down, you are looking at your iPhone or your devices, not trying to leave anyone out. You are looking at your notice. You are hunching up, making yourself small. So that's what Dr. Amy wants to test again. So she brought people into the lab, and they do either high or low power poses again. They go through a very stressful job interview. It was 5 minutes long, and also they are being recorded, and they are being judged also by interviewers who trained to give no non-verbal feedback. This is very difficult. So they looks like this. Imagine this is the person interviewing you with no non-verbal at all. So for 5 minutes, nothing, non-verbals. And this is worse than being heckled. And people hate this. As they call, it's like standing in social quicksand. So this spikes your cortisol. Of course, what spikes your cortisol. So this is the job interview. They put them through because they really wanted to see what happened to that people. And then they have these coders look at these tapes, and the coders, they're blind to the hypothesis, and they are blind to conditions. And they even have no idea who's being posing and what pose also. And they end up looking at these sets of tapes, and what they say. They say, we want to hire these people, all the high power posers people, and we don't want to hire the other people. And this is how they decided to hire you during the interview. Also, they evaluate these people much more positively overall, but what's driving it? It's not about the content of the speech. It's about the presence that you are bringing to your speech. And we should understand that point very well, because people rate them on all these variables related to competence, like how well structured is the speech, how good is it, what are their qualification. It sometimes doesn't matter, no effect on these things. This is what's affected, these kind of things. People are bringing their true selves. Basically, they are bringing themselves. They bring their ideas, but as themselves, with no residue over them. So, this is what driving the effect, or meditating the effect. So, when I tell you this, that our bodies change our minds, and our minds can change our behaviors. And our behaviors, of course, will change our outcomes. Then I guess that you will say to me, it feels fake. Right. It feels fake, but what I'm telling you, and I say to you, just fake it till you make it. And probably you're going to say, it is not me. I don't want to get there and then still, feel like a fraud. I don't want to feel like an imposter. I don't want to get there only to feel like I'm not supposed to be here. No, what about if I'm telling you that you are the one who's supposed to be there? And if you don't know how to do it, just fake it till you make it. And I'm gonna prove that to you by this little tragedy story happened with Dr. Amy herself. And I'll leave you with that, then I'll come back.
Little story about being an imposter and feeling like I'm not supposed to be here. When I was 19, I was in a really bad car accident. I was thrown out of a car, rolled several times. I was thrown from the car, and I woke up in a head injury rehab ward. And I had been withdrawn from college, and I learned that my IQ had dropped by 2 standard deviations, which was very traumatic. I knew my IQ because I had identified with being smart, and I had been called gifted as a child. So I'm taken out of college. I keep trying to go back. They say, you're not going to finish college. Like, just, there are other things for you to do, but that's not going to work out for you. So I really struggled with this, and I have to say, having your identity taken from you, your core identity, and for me it was being smart, having that taken from you, there's nothing that leaves you feeling more powerless than that. So I felt entirely powerless. I worked and worked and worked, and I got lucky and worked and got lucky and worked. Eventually I graduated from college. It took me 4 years longer than my peers. And I convinced someone, my angel advisor, Susan Fisk, to take me on. And so I ended up at Princeton, and I was like, I am not supposed to be here. I am an imposter. And the night before my first year talk, and the first year talk at Princeton is a 20-minute talk to 20 people. That's it. I was so afraid of being found out the next day that I called her and said, I'm quitting. She was like, you are not quitting, because I took a gamble on you and you're staying. You're going to stay, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to fake it. You're going to do every talk that you ever get asked to do. You're just going to do it and do it and do it, even if you're terrified and just paralyzed and having an out-of-body experience, until you have this moment where you say, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. Like, I have become this. I am actually doing this. So that's what I did. 5 years in grad school. A few years, I'm at Northwestern. I moved to Harvard. I'm at Harvard. I'm not really thinking about it anymore, but for a long time I had been thinking, not supposed to be here, not supposed to be here. So at the end of my first year at Harvard, a student who had not talked in class the entire semester, who I had said, look, you got to participate or else you're going to fail, came into my office. I really didn't know her at all. And she came in totally defeated, and she said, I'm not supposed to be here. And that was the moment for me, because 2 things happened. One was that I realized, oh my gosh, I don't feel like that anymore. I don't feel that anymore, but she does, and I get that feeling. And the second was, she is supposed to be here. Like, she can fake it, she can become it. So I was like, yes, you are. You are supposed to be here, and tomorrow you're going to fake it, you're going to make yourself powerful, and, you're going to... And you're gonna go into the classroom and you are gonna give the best comment ever, you know? And she gave the best comment ever. And people turned around and they were like, oh my God, I didn't even notice her sitting there, you know? She comes back to me months later and I realized that she had not just faked it till she made it, she had actually faked it till she became it. So she had changed. And so I want to say to you, don't fake it till you make it, fake it till you become it.
So at the end of this short course, we closed it with real story. Happened to the most famed person in physiological and social science, Professor Amy Cuddy. The lady that getting over all obstacles and breaking whole rocks that she met in the road of her future. So no doubt such women deserved to be respected, and personally, specifically, positively, she affected me, where she saw that the role of her duty to deliver this true experiment to universe demonstrated with studies and real evidence. And that's of what we did. Just we coded her experience to you. So we've finalized this course with appreciation to her and to influence people who adding value to our life. Hope that you enjoyed this, and so long. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.